cues of safety are interesting because in the moment, a cue of safety can be something you've never thought of before, right? Like it's interesting that as I'm looking at the two of you, I get the typical cues of safety. The way you look, the way you smile, the way you move, all of those things. But I get a cue of safety. Your plaid shirt, Andy, for some reason, and I could take a moment and I could think about, but without even having to think about it, it's just this resonance. My nervous system is safe. I don't know why. I don't need to know why, but it's resonating, right? You and when you stop to notice them, you think, oh, there are more cues than I thought. Cue of danger, I will say, for in your background, Andy, is that there's nothing there. And so for my nervous system, it's like, ooh, I mean, who would think about these things? But when you stop and think about them, you begin to recognize for yourself, oh, they're these, typical cues of safety and danger for me. Glimmers, you gotta figure out, how do you notice a glimmer? Right? That's where we start. How does your nervous system send you a message that something just appeared that was drawing you towards a sense of connection or safety or okayness or joy or magic or whatever it is, right? So you begin reflect on your day and think, was there a moment that when I look back on it now, maybe that was a glimmer. You begin to get to know how your glimmers come to life. I do this other thing called anchors, and I think anchors are easy to do. They're the category of who, what, where, and then we have touchstones. So you can begin to think about who are the people in your life who, when you're around them, you feel okay, right? And maybe you don't have those people, but we begin to look for them, right? What are some of the small things you do that remind you that ventral's around, that energy of connection is around, right? And they're just simple things, not practices, not big practices, but simple things like, looking out the window and looking out in nature, or patting your dog, or the simple things you do. And where are the places in your world where you feel, safe and okay, where you feel welcome, right? Often nature brings that to us. Sometimes it's a place of worship, it's a place in your house. Right. So those are the anchors. And then touchstones are what are the things that we, the scents that we bring in, the things we wear, the lucky socks that have some, flavor for us that we just feel good. Right. Like when you were getting dressed today to do this podcast, your nervous system helped you do that. Right. When I was getting dressed, I was thinking, what do I want to wear that makes me just feel like I'm good to go, right? And this happens without our thinking about it. But if you think about it, you'll think about, you've got a favorite sweater or a favorite shirt or a favorite something that when you put it on, you think, oh, now I'm okay. Right? So these are some of the ways that we can work with our nervous system to begin to find those small moments. And that's where we want to start. We just want to start with small moments. Something that's within reach. A tiny moment that I can recognize and I can name it, I can mark it, right? And then, the other thing that we do with our glimmers or our anchors or whatever is if we share it with somebody else, we get that sense of connection, right? So, when I was telling you that your, plaid shirt brought me something, that sharing in it brought it alive for me again. And then I could feel the sense of it was okay to say that. And so we had that moment that deepens that experience. So that we want to find little ways to begin to reach for more moments of ventral, because the beautiful thing about the nervous system is that the small moments accumulate, right? So we don't need this great, big, awe-inspiring day to change our nervous system. It could change the nervous system, and we do have those moments that happen, but the nervous system changes. It's reshaped by small things happening over and over and over. And for me, that's really reassuring, because in the life I'm living right now, the small moments are within reach. One great big day or 6 hours of, I don't think I can do that, but I can have the small moments. And for my clients, and especially my clients who were really suffering with unresolved trauma, knowing that they didn't need long moments of regulation to reshape their system. They just need tiny moments, was so reassuring and brings the hope, right? That's the hope that comes from the nervous system.